So guys, as you know, there was a recent press conference where both of our coordinators were present, Sean Mannion and Vic Fangio. And this one came right before OTAs, which is why it actually matters a lot when we look at the offseason picture. And look, this is that time of year where coaches usually start setting the foundation for the season. OTAs are right around the corner, and this is when you start getting those early clues about roles, schemes, and what the identity of the team is going to look like. We already talked about Sean Mannion's new offensive strategy, and Jalen Hurts will get benefit out of it. But we can't ignore what Vic Fangio shared because the whole defense relies on his system. So let me break it down what Fangio actually said and what major change we are about to witness. What's up, Birds Gang? Welcome to the NFL Playbook Eagles. If you're new here, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. All right, so let's start with the biggest news that came out of this press conference. Vic Fangio came out and said he is not going anywhere, at least 2 more years. And he said it casually, like it was no big deal. And he even mentioned that his doctors told him he is aging in reverse. Now, look, I know that sounds funny, but think about what this actually means for this Eagles defense. This is not just any coordinator. This is one of the most experienced defensive minds in the entire NFL, a guy who has been doing this for over 40 years.
And I want you to really understand who this man is, because I think a lot of fans don't fully appreciate what we have here. Fangio has been a defensive coordinator for 20 of the last 24 seasons at either the NFL or college level. He has held the defensive coordinator role at a record 8 different NFL teams. Nobody in the league has done it at more places than him. And everywhere he went, he built something real. Back in the 1980s with the New Orleans Saints, he helped build the famous Dome Patrol, which is considered one of the greatest linebacker groups in NFL history, featuring Ricky Jackson, Sam Mills, Vaughn Johnson, and Pat Swilling. All 4 of those linebackers made the Pro Bowl at the same time, which was the first time in league history that 4 players from the same team at the same position were all selected together. That is the kind of impact this man has had on the game. Then he came to Philadelphia and took the Eagles defense from 26th in total yards in 2023 all the way to the #1 ranked defense in the entire league in his first season, and they won the Super Bowl. #1 from 26th to 1st in 1 year. That is not luck. That is a master at work. So when this man says he's staying for 2 more years, guys, that is a massive deal. That means continuity. That means the players already know the system. That means we are not starting over. We are building on something that already works. And when your defensive coordinator is locked in and confident and ready to keep building, the whole defense feels that energy. We should all feel good about that.
Okay, now let's talk about what Fangio actually revealed at this press conference, because this is where things get really interesting. The first big thing he talked about was Cooper DeJean, and he just came straight out and said it. DeJean is going to play safety in base defense. Now, I know that raises a lot of questions. The Eagles drafted him as a corner. He then became one of the best nickel defenders we have seen in years. So how does that now turn into safety? And that is a fair question. But here's what you have to understand about Fangio. He does not care about position names. He does not get stuck on labels. What he cares about is putting his best players in the spots where they can help the team win. And what he sees in DeJean is someone who can do things that most players in this league just cannot do. His football brain is at a different level. His athleticism is rare. So Fangio is going to use him where he causes the most problems for the other team. And right now, that place is safety in base defense. And here's what this actually looks like on the field. When the Eagles are in base defense, DeJean moves to safety, and that means Riq Woolen steps in as your starting outside corner, full-time, 3 downs, not just in certain situations, the way Seattle was using him, a real starting corner on the outside. And that is a big step up in terms of how this team sees Woolen's role. Now, Fangio talked about Woolen, and you could tell he was genuinely excited about this guy. He said they were watching him during the season because they already knew Seattle was open to moving him. They watched tape. Then, when the season ended, they watched even more tape. And when Vic Fangio spends that much time studying a player and then comes out publicly and talks about his size, his length, his athletic ability, that is not just something coaches say to sound good. This man does not say things he does not mean. Woolen is 6'4". Fangio pointed out you almost never see corners that tall, and he said none of that size slows him down at all. His speed is real, his ability to stay with receivers and contest catches is real. Vic was sold on this guy. But you know, Woolen is not a perfect player. He led the Seahawks in penalties last season. That is a real concern. And Seattle, the team that had him, was actually trying to trade him and did not trust him in run defense situations. Fangio even brought up that bad playoff moment himself. He did not hide from it. He said if you do not learn from something like that, you never will. But his overall message on Woolen was clear. He believes this player can grow. He believes this coaching staff can develop him. And when a coordinator with this much experience tells you that, you have to take it seriously. Now, the run defense is something I do want to bring up because Fangio talked about it honestly, and I think it deserves attention. Last season, there were some games where the Eagles' run defense was just not good. Fangio admitted it himself. He said the offense got the blame for some of those losses, but the defense was not good enough either. The Bears game, the 49ers game, the Giants game, those were real problems. And now you are adding a corner in Woolen who Seattle did not want on the field in run situations. So that is something this staff is going to have to work on and fix. I will be watching that closely in OTAs and training camp. Okay, now let me talk about the safety depth, because Fangio dropped some names there too. With DeJean moving to safety and base, you need someone else stepping in at nickel when the Eagles go to their nickel and dime packages. And Fangio mentioned Marcus Epps and Michael Carter II as guys competing for that spot. He said he was surprised by Epps in a good way, did not know much about him coming in, watched the tape, liked what he saw in terms of his instincts and how quickly he picks up the defense. That is a good sign. And then there's Andrew Mukuba, who can play multiple spots but has had some injury issues. Fangio is the kind of coach who will play whoever earns it regardless of name or reputation. That is just how he works. And that right there is the thing that makes this defense so exciting to watch going forward. Fangio took Jalen Carter and turned him into a dominant force, earning second-team All-Pro and Pro Bowl honors after leading the Eagles in pressures, quarterback hits, and tackles for loss. He turned Cooper DeJean from an injured corner into the most dynamic nickel defender in the league. Nobody saw that coming. Fangio just looks at what he has and figures out the best way to use it. And he's going to do the same thing with this secondary going forward. The pass rush with Nolan Smith and Jalyx Hunt is real. Fangio talked about Hunt with clear excitement. You could just tell he likes that player a lot. Jonathan Grenard is in the mix too. The front of this defense is solid.
Now, there are still some real questions. We probably need to add a veteran safety before training camp. Mukuba has to show he can stay healthy. Woolen has to prove he can handle a full-time role on the outside. The run defense has to be better. All of that is true, and I am not going to pretend otherwise. But what I keep coming back to is the foundation, the coaching, the system, the fact that Vic Fangio was locked in for at least 2 more years and already knows exactly how he wants to use every player on this roster. That is the reason I feel good about where this defense is going. And with OTAs starting up, we are about to start seeing it all come together. That's where I'm at with it, Birds Gang. Drop your thoughts in the comments. I want to know what you think. And if you're not subscribed yet, hit that button right now because we talk Eagles every single week and you do not want to miss what's coming next. Fly, Eagles, fly.